like that. I quite like it indeed. Alright, and so how you doing, guys? Honestly, I feel like I'm in some sort of biblical plague. It has rained for 9 days and 9 nights. Honestly, if a guy called Noah goes past on an ark, I'm not even going to be surprised. I'm basically underwater here. So I'm sat, I've got my wellies on because the water is so deep in the current area that if I walked rain, I'd just be stood with wet feet. My boots aren't up to much. I need a new pair of boots. I'd have wet feet, so I've got my wellies on, my steel toe cap, so I've got a bit of protection, and it's good. So as you can see, I've set up this weird sort of tarp roof. Yeah, it's been raining, as I say, for 9 days, 9 nights. I haven't had a 20-minute gap in between the rain clouds to be able to get down and weld this up. So I did get down to the allotment, I did measure up my pipe, and its diameter is 10 centimetres, just like this used cutting disc. So this is an exact 10 centimetre circle with a, well, it's a circle with a 10 centimetre diameter. I don't need to work out the circumference or anything because I have this, but I did work out the circumference because, of course, I need to make that collar. So I'm down here today. I've got enough clearance, I can stand up at the back of this thing and my head just touches a bit of top. This is of course made up of absolute rubbish. I've got 1 inch thick square tubing all over the thing. There's bits of pallet wood, there's the beams out of pallet wood, the planks out of pallet wood, there's a sword blank right above my head. That's just got a little tack on it, that'll hold it in place. I'll get that off, no problem. So I'm in here, I'm underneath. I have set up a bit of plywood as a temporary bench because my bench is absolutely soaking. I don't want to be sitting any of my equipment on it, especially the welder. But I'll be able to get this done. I'm going to give the top of this burner a bit of a wipe because it is soaking. Get all of the water off. I might apply a bit of heat just to dry it off. I've got a little torch, a little butane torch there. I'll get this cleaned off. I'll get this marked out with my chalk, so yeah, need to dry it. Once it's marked out, I'll get it cut out. I'll be able to start cutting the plate. I am hoping that our old offcut has enough meat in it to get the collar made out of it in a single piece. If not, that's going to be in 2 pieces. I only need about 1 inch or 2 inches of height on it, so I could definitely cut lots of 2-inch strips off of that. So then guys, welcome back. So I got myself a cloth. Going to get this off. We want to remove as much of the water from this piece of steel as humanly possible, so I've got this fine threaded cloth. I do believe it was for a windscreen or something back in the past. It's been hanging around the workshop for a lot of years and it's just going to be used for this purpose now. It mostly gets used for this purpose, I should say. Got myself a little butane torch just to click on. We're going to be working back at this corner. Get that doing. Just work where we need. So this should dry this off to a great, well, completely dry this off. Get all of that water evaporated from the surface. Be able to work it properly. I've got the cutting disc here as a gauge of how much space I need to dry. And there you go, I can see it evaporating off very quickly. And it just looks like I'm pushing a dirty line of water back because as you know, this is just out in the rain. It stood out in the rain for the 9 days it's been raining, so just need to get that dry. So everything's in a bit of upheaval because of the move, you know. Now that I've got the equipment to break out away from mains electricity and get back to forging, which is what I know. You know, I'm not a welder fabricator. I don't weld a lot. I don't weld often. Most of what I've done on this channel has been welding, of course, because that's what's been available due to lockdown. Now that I've got this opportunity to break out of the garden and actually get into a workshop again, it'll be good to have accessibility to things that you just can't do at home, you know. So I think this is the best angle I can offer you, whilst being in the protection of the rain cover. So I've got a dampener on the equipment, so I don't know if you can hear all of these raindrops, but it's absolutely deafening. But it does promise me, you know, the equipment promised me, all the specs say that you won't be able to, which seems quite nice. So I've jacked this up on this sash weight, this weight that I've got Hopefully this will keep it steady enough that I'll be able to cut this out. I'm just going to start going around with the grinder trying to cut it in. If I need to cut it into strips and do them one by one, I will. Hopefully I'll be able to get it done relatively quickly. Get this cut out. What I did do is, so the diameter of the pipe that is being used as the chimney for this is 10 centimeters. So I'm going to be making the cuff just that little bit smaller. It's going to be a bit wider at the bottom, so where it attaches to this is going to be somewhere around the 10.5 centimeter mark, and the top of the cuff, which I'm hoping is just going to be a few inches tall, I plan to be a few inches tall I should say, is going to be somewhere around 9.5, so somewhere in the centre of that very small conical shape is where the chimney is actually going to sit. I don't want to do it so ridiculously wide that it has to hold all of the weight alone. I do want the weight transferred onto it. So that should be fine. So the helmet's set to grind. The helmet's set to grind, all my safety equipment on. I've got my grinder. I'm going to get rid of my gas torch. So if anyone's wondering, that's a pretty cheap gas torch. I think I paid less than £8. I've been using it for months. I don't use it a lot. It is literally to dry pieces of work. Why use something bigger? You get them on Amazon, you get them on eBay. They're very, very cheap. They're used in catering predominantly. You can use them to an extent of metal work if you are desperate. I wouldn't personally, but just for drying off steel, it's perfect. Let's get going. I've changed my mind. I can't see absolutely anything through that helmet, you know. So I'm just going to go with the goggles, keep my eyes safe. I'll get this cut. I have retrieved the topping machine. So I've cut most of the way around. Clearly something's still holding on because I've gave it a little prod with the finger and it hasn't moved, so I've got my bigger finger and it moved. So now I've got a hole in. So the circumference works out as the diameter times by pi. So pi being roughly 3.142, I'll go with 3.14. It's easy enough to work out. Times it by the 10 centimeters, I need 31.4 centimeters of steel wrapped around, which will make that top cuff. I'm not going to bother with the 0.4 because there will be a bit of space. When I pin it round, when I bring that round into a circle, there's always going to be that small bit of space that's going to get filled with weld. Yeah, I don't need it to be perfect. I'm going to add a tiny smidgen on the bottom and a little less on the top, so that when I bring it round I get that cone shape and it'll fit just snug. Yeah, which is great. I of course am guesstimating. I'm not an engineer, I'm a blacksmith. Yeah, I'm used to getting one bit of steel and hitting it with a hammer when it's hot enough until it's the shape that I want it to be. I don't do this sort of stuff. It's a common misconception. Just because I can weld to a certain degree, I'm not a welder. Just because I can fabricate to a certain degree, I'm not a fabricator. I'm a blacksmith. Yeah. Now, I know that there's not a lot of application for a blacksmith anymore, other than people that like really pretty things. But it doesn't mean I'm a welder fabricator. It doesn't mean I'm going to retrain as a welder fabricator. It doesn't mean I want to be a welder fabricator. I want to be a blacksmith. I am a blacksmith and I'm happy with it. Yeah. My new workspace is going to offer us a lot of opportunity to make a bit of money, which is going to go aside and maybe eventually open up another shop. If I don't open up another shop and I do something else for a living, I'm okay with that. But at heart, I'm going to be a blacksmith for the rest of my life. And if I don't get a chance to hit hot steel again and make something nice, I'm just going to be a very sad boy. Yeah, so I'm very looking forward to my new space that's becoming available. But for now, let's get on with this. I'm going to make this, get it out of the way. Once it's finished, yeah, I did do some work on the door after the camera cut out last time. The door's basically finished, but I didn't do it quite right. There's a couple of minor adjustments need to be made at the door. The catch still hasn't been attached to the door. I haven't made the catch in any which way possible. So I've got a catch to do, adjust the hinges, make this collar, and this is finished. Oh no, it's not. I still need a burning platform. I still need to put a grill on the inside. So there's still a few things that need to be done. I don't have much daylight left. I basically don't have daylight, but what there is running out. But for now, I'm glad to have that done. And if I get that collar on, I'm so close. I'm so close. So I'll get back here. So I was halfway through drying off that piece of scrap with the old little torch here, which I'm just putting back. Sorry for being out of camera. I know how much you love my pretty face. So I'm just drying it off to try and figure out how much I'm going to need. Dry it out so I can mark it off and everything. Just got out the tape measure halfway through drying it off to check how big that pretty bit of scrap is, to find out it is 32 centimetres big. Yeah, and if I just cut along that seam and get rid of that seam, it's perfectly squared off to the two sides that I've cut into it already. So that's going to be pretty easy to do. So what I've got is I've got this section from this seam here. Sorry, it's a little bit hot. This seam, everything above it is going to be the collar minus this bit, which I'm just going to chop off level, relatively level. I'm not too fussed about it. It's 32 centimetres big. I'm going to cut a taper from that up one edge, bring it round, pin it in, weld it on. Possibly today, I don't really know. It is very dark in here. It is very, very dark. I'll be winding basically blind until the weld starts. Setting up for the weld, I'm basically blind. I can't see much. The camera that I'm using at the moment is great. It's picking up a lot of light that isn't actually here for my eyes. But if I get this done today, I'm so close. I want to. I really, really want to. So I'm going to get on with that and I'll come back to you. So I'm just cutting this out. I've got a new bit on my grinder, I've got my goggles, I've got my gloves, I've got my apron on. I'm fairly safe. I'm going to cut this out and we'll get going. And there we have it. I mean, you can see all of the water evaporating. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. It's dark, but that's come off. Get rid of this. Piece of one's down here on the floor. I've got it. I of course had my, that took a beating. So I've got a board set up behind ready to catch all the grinder sparks, because I've got some questionable items behind there that might caught fire. And that's took a beating, that's lost a lot of face. But so what I have here is the plate. This is going to be the collar. This is going to be wrapped around this hole. Yeah, I'm going to work it before it gets onto this hole, of course. Wrap around this hole. I might cut it in half and do it in two halves, which would be a lot easier to form. Once it's on there, I'll be ready. If I can't do it in one piece, or if I can't do it in two pieces, I will keep going down. I do not care if I've got to cut this into 64 pieces and weld them each on individually, because my ability to bend steel here is very restricted. Yeah, I don't have a lot. So these weights are absolutely fantastic for working this size of steel. So I know that it's very dark and you might be struggling to see. So I've got this indent in between. I'll bring it over. It's about £10, so it's not entirely heavy. Yeah. So you hammer in this indent, you put your steel across, you hammer in the indent, you just bring it round, it puts that nice bend in. Yeah. Once you get to the point that that's not working anymore, you can cut your steel, hook it under the handle piece, just apply a bit of pressure with a hammer. You're just bringing it round. And I think if I cut this into two, I'll be able to do the entire thing on this. I think it'll be too finicky to do it in one piece. I mean, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it my best go. If I get it so close that it basically doesn't matter, I'll force the rest of it. But this is what I want. It's perfect. What I do have is I've got a large piece of wood, large piece of hardwood that I can carve down with a floppy disc on a grinder, cut it down to the size that I need this to wrap around. Put it in a vise, just keep tightening it. Tighten it round, hammer it round, get it worked. I should be able to get this in one piece. It might be finicky. I'm going to stop filming because you can't see absolutely anything when I'm actually working it. But if this works, happy days. Less welding to do is a better day for me, so I don't like welding. I'm doing all of this on camera for enjoyment. I don't actually particularly like welding. I just like working steel. It's close enough that I enjoy it. I want a smith. I want a blacksmith, you know. I want a hammer, I want a forge, I want an anvil or something hard enough to hammer on. and make something. I want to make something. I like making stuff. That's why I'm doing these sort of projects, and this is one that I actually need. So yeah, but peace, I'll catch you later. It might be in the next video. If I can't film any of this, I might put some pictures of the finished work up, or as close as I get it with a little bit of a description. I may film something in the house just to tell you how it's going. This might be enough recording for an entire video. I don't want to bore you. I don't want to put up hour-long videos. I don't see the point, you know. I don't think I'm that entertaining that you'd watch us for an hour making something crap for an allotment to burn stuff in so I can have a cup of tea. But I'll catch you later. Peace. So I've done it. I've as close to done it as humanly possible. Yeah, so I've got this little lip left on this side here, just by my finger. It is what it is. Yeah, but that's as close as I'm possibly going to get in one piece. So I've checked it, it's 10 centimetres, it's not a perfect circle. It is so close to being a perfect circle, I'm a bit gutted. Yeah, I'm literally using the light of my camera, the light of the screen on the camera as a light to show my face because it's so dark now. I absolutely love this camera. I love the way that it picks it up in the dark because I'm stood here, it's basically dark. I've got to take that thing down. I might just use the camera as my eyes to be able to actually see what's going on. But this is this done. I'm thinking as I weld it up, I'll weld it up from this side down, bring it down to that problematic side. As I heat it with the weld, I'll bring it down, yeah, and I'll get that circular again. So I've got no flats anywhere in the piece. I bent it very gradually, piece by piece, as I went. So I'm pretty chuffed, you know. I'm chuffed that I've managed, as a blacksmith, I've managed to fabricate this. Yeah, just hitting it with a hammer in a very similar style to what I actually do for a living, but with none of the actual stuff I use for a living. I've got a hammer, I've got something hard, and I've got metal. It's close. It's close. Yeah. But this is done. That's going to get welded on tomorrow. I'm not welding in the dark. I refuse to do it. So this is all done up. Hopefully it's going to be dry tomorrow. I can't do with 10 days of rain. I'm sick of walking to the allotment to feed ducks. The ducks don't mind that it's raining. I mind that it's raining. But I'll get all of this put away. I'll get my tools put away. I'll get my tools dragged back into the house there, going back into the little tool room that I've got now. And I'll finish this off another day. I have looked. I should be able to finish it off on the next time that I come down to film. If I can't, I may film a bit less so that I can actually finish it in time. Because honestly, 3 days on one of these burners is a waste, you know. I mean, when I count 3 days, I haven't done 3 days work. I could make one of these in a day at work and still have time to lounge around in a hammock and drink tea. But I was only down here for 2 hours on the first day, got a lot done. I was down here for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours today. I'm hoping to get another hour, maybe 2 hours put into it just to refine it. You know, I'll get it finished in an hour, no problem. Hopefully, if I can get 2 hours put into it, I'll be able to get those nice little tweaks put onto it so that it works perfectly fine. But once that's done, I'll be able to take a video of us burning it off on the allotment. You know, I'm going to burn all the paint off. I don't want to burn the paint off here. I'll burn the paint off there where I actually have wood that I need to get rid of. And everything's good. So I'll see you in the next video. I do think that is me finished.